Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is now just a little over 2 months away from its official release by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio, as well as creator George Lucas. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing about Episode 9 that a lot of fans are very excited about is the fact that Palpatine is back in action in this movie, portrayed by Ian McDiarmid once more, which honestly I will say is very surreal. It really is. The fact that Palpatine is back and basically in the flesh now, as J.J. Abrams confirmed a couple of weeks ago, he is back in the flesh and is going to be explained as to exactly how he survived in The Rise of Skywalker, which brings us to one of the main characters that were unfortunately cut from the finalized version of the movie, and of course replaced with more Palpatine footage. Now, on top of all this, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the main characters for this story, it's described that reshoots are nearing their end, as both Disney and Lucasfilm with J.J. Abrams are working very hard to bring the filming process to a stop before entering the final phase of post-production. It's explained that many key scenes for Palpatine were changed, and in doing so, it said that they were forced to cut the new villain from The Rise of Skywalker, also known as the Dark Acolyte, that was said to have had a total of 24 minutes of screen time so far before the big cut was made. It's implied that this character was to be portrayed by Matt Smith, and that due to the changes of how Palpatine survived the Death Star explosion, they had to put the new villain to the wayside. Originally, it's described that the new villain was to be a Dark Acolyte taken over by Palpatine's spirit after the old version of Palpatine dies. However, through reshoots from July until now, many scenes for Palpatine have shifted and have been adjusted to where Palpatine now has double the screen time and is set to return in a completely different way that will take fans by surprise. Additionally, it's explained that one of the scenes shot originally involved a flashback showing exactly how Palpatine's spirit would travel into the Dark Acolyte's body in the unknown regions after Palpatine's death after the second Death Star explosion, and that Disney is considering of putting these deleted scenes in the Blu-ray of Episode 9 in March to April of 2020. So let's go over a couple of parts about this. Now, the thing about the new villain that I find to be so upsetting is that it would have been something new, and I feel like it just would have really explained Palpatine's death in a more realistic route that would have fit Star Wars. I know some of you guys are probably going to disagree that Palpatine's spirit would have been, a good thing for The Rise of Skywalker, but to me, I think it's a better idea than Palpatine just surviving the fall of the second Death Star somehow, some way. I think it would have been better if Palpatine actually died and his spirit lived on and just took on the role of another body. And that's exactly what they wanted to do with the new villain that was ultimately cut, that had a total of 24 minutes of screen time. That's a lot of screen time for a villain. Now, 24 minutes, that's a lot, because it tells us that he was going to be in the first, second, and third acts of the movie. And that does add up eventually. It's kind of like if you look at Kylo Ren, he's a main villain, right? So, when we look at the new villain, he was actually implied to be portrayed by Matt Smith. Now, it's unclear if they're doing something else for Matt Smith, or if Matt Smith's role for this character was just cut and he's doing something else. That's a big question open on the table, right? But this new villain by Disney, they basically cut this new character in order to double the amount of screen time for Palpatine, and we heard about this lightly a couple of days ago, that the new villain was getting cut from The Rise of Skywalker due to the reshoots that are happening right now. They're still going on, in a strange way. I mean, it is pretty late into the whole entire thing here. At least with Rogue One, a Star Wars story, like I said earlier on today, that only lasted until early September. So here we are, almost mid-October, and we're still doing reshoots. So I'm not quite sure if that's a good or a bad sign. We'll have to wait and see. But the new villain, I would definitely say that I was very hyped to see exactly what he was going to be like on the big screen, and it would have been something new and something original. But I'm still happy that Palpatine is back in the flesh, like the normal Palpatine that we all know and love. That's going to be a big part of this story, hence why he's on the poster now. It may have been the reason as to why they used, I believe it was a Hot Toys figure for the poster. That might have been like a last minute thing that they just had to slap on there. But with that being said, everything related to the new villain / the Dark Acolyte would have really brought the Dark Acolytes back, of course, into the Disney canon. Now, we do know that there are going to be some sequences featuring the Dark Acolytes, but they're not going to be a main part of the story. They're just going to be in the form of a vision or flashback or something around those lines. That's not really going to be central to the overall plot, right? So Matt Smith, excellent actor in my opinion. He really does have potential to be a villainous role in Star Wars, and he had the chance, and it seems like that they are just not, agreeing with that because they wanted to do something else with Palpatine, of how he survived the second Death Star explosion. So anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.